Now, the Afghan conflict has been one of the most catalogued in the history of war, but a new account will be a first because it's a book written by an officer commanding a company on the ground. Company commander records two paras 6 months in Sangin in 2008, one of the toughest tours imaginable, in which the battle group lost 15 people. It tested Major Russell Lewis's leadership skills to the limit and earned him the Military Cross. Earlier, he came in to talk about his book. I began by asking him to describe that 6-month tour in 2008.
Incredibly rewarding. I mean, the thing is with a 6-month tour is there's fantastic days, there's bad days, there's daft days, it's the full gambit. And I think at the time, you know, we all drive ourselves very hard. Everyone in the British Army is very professional. They do the job to the best of their ability. And I think often you don't realise probably how hard you've driven yourself through these things until you get home. But they are hard, the 6-month tours. And
you wrote a journal for every day of that tour, didn't you? Just tell me a little bit about that first contact with the enemy, because that must have been something.
Yeah. I think the other thing was it came longer or later than we thought it would.
So it was all that waiting.
It was waiting, and there was actually a lot of tension building in the company because you've trained to get yourself to this fever pitch, and you thought actually you would be in contact quite quickly, but due to the harvest season, the enemy were leaving us alone, and so it built and built. But on that day, the situation seemed to look odd. It didn't look like the day previously, for example, so you could tell something wasn't quite right. But when it did actually happen, I think there was this collective sigh of, oh right, thank God for that, we've got that out the way, now let's get stuck into our job. How
did you adjust? How did you cope being a leader? What kind of tactics did you use?
I dedicated quite a lot of time beforehand to sort of mental training. I studied a subject called neuro-linguistic programming, which is pretty much like coaching or any of these other things, sort of performance enhancement. I think the analogy that works best is sports, which is, you know, you train yourself for the event, but you have to train yourself physically and psychologically.
But also there's a lot of pressure involved, because I suppose sometimes you may have to give a message that you don't actually feel yourself in order to make sure that you're on course, that the troops can actually do what they're required to do calmly.
Yeah, I mean, like everything, people, the commander, they read you. So when you are delivering a set of orders, for example, you have got to deliver it in the way that they understand that you believe in your plan, because if you didn't believe in your plan or didn't convey that you believed in your plan, why would you expect anyone else to believe in your plan? So how you present yourself to the soldiers, I think, is really important.
Did you ever have to convince yourself?
No. I mean, I was very clear on the job that we were doing. I was very proud of the job that we were doing. I thought it was a credible opportunity.
I mean, I mentioned earlier how many people died during your tour. I mean, it must be incredibly difficult to keep morale going in that situation when you yourself will have to just compartmentalise your feelings about what's happened. Yeah.
Before we deployed, I said to my company, this will probably give us the greatest soldiering days of our careers, but it will probably give us the worst, and it did. And as you say, it's incredibly hard. You as the commander, you've got to drive on because the lads need you. And they were incredible. They had a night of grieving. It generally was the one night of grieving, and then next day they were back out on patrol. And I think that was the way that they dealt with it, was just to get back out there and take the fight to the enemy.
You earned yourself a Military Cross. Must have been a fantastic moment. Congratulations
on
that. But this also was, I presume, the highlight of your military career, because you wanted to be with two para ever since you saw what they did in the Falklands. Now you've seen active service. How can you possibly beat that? I
don't know. I think you're absolutely right. It is the pinnacle. To command soldiers like that in that environment, I don't think will ever be beaten. And I suppose that's the point. Almost don't try and beat it. Just celebrate it, really.
Your wife's in Camp Bastion at the moment. Would you like to give her a message?
Yes. Hello, love. Hope all's well. She's running the field hospital at the moment, and yeah, I'm sure her and her team are doing an incredible job.